Good evening, everyone. How you doing tonight? Welcome to the North Carolina Cryptid Paranormal Project. This is Tom. Going live tonight with the live stream and the podcast. We have our special guest Tricia Brown tonight, and I'm looking forward to bringing her on. She's got a lot of experiences, and she's been around a lot of stuff in her life. So we're getting ready to bring her in, and I'm pretty excited to have her on. So without further ado, here is Tricia Brown. Hello. Trish.
Hi.
Howdy.
Well, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the live stream tonight.
Thanks.
Are you ready for the interview?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Do I look ready? Did everything look good?
You look as ready as you're going to be. Yeah.
Okay.
As good as it's going to get.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll kind of do like a pre-bio on you if you want to, like how you everything got into this world, because not everyone gets into this world, the same way. So if you want to do like a quick little bio on how you came to be, I think everybody would love to hear about it, and then we'll kind of break off from there.
Okay, sure. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I would say that I've had increments of experiences in my life that led from one thing to the other. And I mean, I would say in elementary school, I was having some pretty profound experiences, like spiritual experiences. So it started, my first unique experiences started when I was about the age that you are, when you go from your crib to your first bed. Mm-hmm. And they were years later, as you're trying to put things together. Was it like getting some past life bleed through, I don't know. It was really trippy, and it was a recurring thing that would happen for years. And so it started off me thinking that I was spiritual, but I didn't know what that meant. And I would have, where I grew up very, my dad was super into the outdoors. So we were outside a lot. I was outside a lot. Total tomboy, totally having fun in the mountains, the Santa Cruz Mountains. I grew up in Saratoga, California. And then we would also go to the foothills of the Sierras in Northern California. And so I would be trying to just be like a normal kid, and I was realizing I was continuing to have these trippy experiences, but I knew in myself that they were happening. It wasn't like I didn't have anyone. I didn't grow up in a religious background. I mean, my parents were not religious at all, but I was around a lot of Catholic and Jewish families in the area I grew up in, and they were very welcoming and including and all that. So I didn't have anyone telling me that the stuff I was having happen to me wasn't true. I mean, I wasn't telling anybody, but it was weird. Okay. So as I was getting older and more experiences were having, which I will explain what I'm talking about here, but I kind of started looking back on when did this all start? Like when I was trying to put the pieces together, and I started remembering, that this experience that started when I was about 2, which is I'd wake up and I'd see fire, I'd see flames shooting out between my bed and my wall, and it was like I was awake and I was seeing this fire that was not making any sound. It had no smell. It was literally, there was nothing burning anything. And then it would just sort of dissipate and I wouldn't see it again. And I've had things like that my whole life. And from my studies, it's like what I feel is that I'm seeing into the astral realm.
Yeah.
And so, in elementary school, I was about, 7 or so, and all of a sudden, I was getting ready for bed, and it was like when your mom's like, go to bed, and you don't feel tired, you do all your things you need to do, you get into bed, and I felt this some invisible mass of energy starting to flow through the corner ceiling of my room. And it was completely invisible, but I could feel it. And it was only the feeling of all of a sudden something taking up space, and it was getting in it, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just felt massive. It felt like, it reminded me of like a genie going into a bottle, like this. And so after that, and I don't know if it was more than once, but I didn't remember this experience until I was like 34 years old, when I was like starting to have more and more and more experiences about seeing spirits and having precognition, dreams coming true, and then like downloads of information. And I remembered all of a sudden, like out of the blue, I remembered that experience, and it just really was. After this energy mass came into my room, I started having where time started to feel different. I started hearing this loud, like Om sound in the middle of the night, like that really loud sound of silence. And then as that year went on into the next year is when I started seeing, I saw my first spirit. And then in high school more, and then into my 20s, and it kept going. And so when I was, let's say in 2006, I moved to Southern California, and a lot of people are really into, you could call it psychic development or inner senses development. And at that time in my life, I got on a paranormal team, my first time being on a paranormal team. And a lot of the people in that were mediums. And so they were teaching me stuff. And then I was also taking psychic development classes to heighten, to learn about heightening your, inner senses. And then I was learning about how to meditate so that it would, so that I could tune into my my abilities, and so there were these different things that were going on. And then I have been into reading and gaining knowledge since I was, could read, since I was in elementary school. And so my spiritual studies, mind, body, spirit studies, it started like 4th grade, and then like 5th grade. Yeah. I remember cutting out in like one of those, I don't know, girl magazines, that it was talking about angels and what they can do for you in your life. And I remember thinking that it was really weird that I was, or different that I was interested in this, because I had no background in it really, because we weren't Christians or anything like that. But it was something that inside myself, I felt like I'm spiritual. I feel like I'm at an awareness that's sort of a beyond one idea, one pathway. So I wanted to know what was going on. So I started, I was like studying and trying to figure it out. And I don't know if I had an experience when I was 7 or 8. And my dad, he worked at Hewlett-Packard, and their company owned land up in the Santa Cruz Mountains that was attached to Big Basin State Park. Mm-hmm. And it was Little Basin. And so me and my mom and dad, we would go camping, and there would just be miles of just trees and land, and it was amazing. So I could just go wander around by myself and just super enjoy this environment. And out of the blue, it was like I all of a sudden was receiving a message or receiving information. And I could, like, in my mind's eye, I knew that there was this ball like in front of me, and that I was being told that this ball, it was like moving clockwise. And it was like I was being taught that this is representing what is animating everything. And that being in nature is really what is reality, not back in town with cement and man-made this and the billboards and all that. And so it was like, I don't know if it was, at that time I was like, I didn't know why. And it just kept happening. Like I would all of a sudden receive like a download of information or a message or like a teaching, like I was being taught. And so I've spent years studying and like learning that some of the stuff that all of a sudden a download of information is stuff that's been taught for thousands of years. So it's just been like a lifelong interest in many of the different directions, understanding spirits, the different levels of spirits, from the earthbound spirits to your loved ones that have crossed over and come back to visit, to spirit guides, the helping spirits. I've studied shamanism, understanding that side of things, the Native American or the ancient people, what I like to call them, their teachings of, what they experienced life like before technology. So it's a lot of these things. I went to yoga teacher training in 2008, very spiritual experience. I had no idea it was going to be like that. I thought I was just going to learn how to, teach yoga. In 2015, I decided I really wanted to learn, like I really wanted to develop my inner senses. And I wanted to really raise my consciousness to be at a high level of awareness. And I wanted to heal from some of my childhood stuff, my growing up stuff. And I wanted to learn mediumship from the top of the people. So I went to a school in Georgia called Delphi University. And so it helped me learn many healing modalities and work on some of my own, inner past things. Because if you're going to be a clear channel, you want to really know who you are and know who you are not, so that you can decipher between this is my stuff versus that person's stuff, and then like the energies of things and this kind of thing. So as I've lived my life and continue to learn new things, whether it's how to connect with the land, I really enjoy exploring, going around the United States and getting to go to land that is pure and sacred. And because I've been, listening to and talking to, medicine people, shamans, on how to honor the land and how to connect with the land. And then also, in my spiritual studies, I really got into studying metaphysics. I really wanted to understand how is it that something comes about through thought. When I was in 2006, when I was on those first paranormal teams, and it was my first time really understanding like the paranormal investigation stuff. But I really wasn't that interested in the equipment, but I was getting to have experiences like the other people were having. So I was learning from them. And one of the things that has made me be like really where I'm at now with my studies is because back in, I think it was January of 2007, there was a paranormal convention in Southern California, and I was feeling, hearing, and having experiences at this lodge. And a medium took a group of us into one of the hotel rooms, that is what it is now. And she said that she was able to tell that there was a female earthbound spirit that was in the bathroom. Like she had in her life, she was an unwed mistress, and she committed suicide in the bathroom or whatever. And so it was my first like going, how come this person is not helping her to move on? There was something in me, this compassion that came over me of helping a spirit to want to, carry on their journey. And so I've always had like this, wanting to know more of how to like really use my inner senses. I'm not like, my inner senses I have found I can use in more than just the way of connecting with a spirit. Meaning like I'm not into connecting with lower energy. Like, so I really have done my work on learning about metaphysics and like understanding how to keep myself at a high level of being, how I feel, being happy, and understanding the metaphysics behind it, so there's a big realm of interest in all this. And I can really like go in different directions with these different topics. So I want to kind of talk about the interest of Sasquatch, or what I like to call them, the tree people, because that really was really fun, the way that all came together. So I think it was 2018. I was working at the airport, and so that I could fly for free around the United States. So I was doing that. And so I heard about this place called Board Camp Crystal Mine in Mena, Arkansas. And that there's different experiences that people have had there. Their UFO, MUFON's been there to really, the tree people, Sasquatch experiences there. And then because there's crystals on the land, I think that might have something to do with the energy there. The native people, the tribe in the area, have asked them if they could do ceremonial work on the land. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go there, because I really like to go to land that has this special energy from when the ancient people lived there. Because I like to connect with those types of spirits. I like to learn from what life was really like, back then. And so I've gotten a chance to learn, like I will pick up on information when I go to these places. Okay, so the husband took me out to the forest where the crystal digging is. And I did not know what to expect. It's just literally like a forest and you dig in the ground. I didn't know if it was going to be like a cave or like what, I don't know. But so he did that for me, and I got some crystals, and it was fun. And then he took me to an area that he said that the local tribe has been teaching them about what they call Sasquatch is the tree people. This area called the nursery. And I had no interest in this. Like it was interesting listening when I'm like, okay. But before this, I virtually had like no thoughts on this subject, because I had these other, interests with, spirit guides and like connect, my inner senses and metaphysics and, all that. And so, I grew up in California. I know that I've passed by like a couple of those museums. And I know that, okay, so he's teaching me about how, and he's showing me, he's like, these are where the older Sasquatch people bring the younger Sasquatch people to teach them about how to manipulate the saplings. And he was showing me how there were these tree like branches in the tree like bent this way, and then it was growing that way, and I was like, I was having a hard time accepting what I was seeing. I was blown away. And then how like the little sapling is pulled down, and then there's like a log placed over the top.
Yeah,
it's like that, and then like limbs like leaning on things, little ones though. I think I really feel I was meant to be shown the littler demonstrations, because then that's what I started seeing more and more in my life after that. So he showed me, and I was like, okay, that's interesting, but when he said tree people, and the way this man, he's so nice and kind that it was a really great introduction for me with this, because I had never even thought of that. It never occurred to me, any of this. But growing up, spending so much time outside in the mountains and in the country, especially like the Santa Cruz Mountains, I've gotten to go to like probably some untouched land, and I would see like big branches that were lined up, just standing, next to each other, and big trees growing weird. And I, as a kid, and I would walk past, and it just, something was like, huh, and then I thought that those sticks lined up, I thought maybe they were like, teenagers or something out there, like doing some weird stuff. I didn't know, so I didn't really give it a whole lot of thought. I felt super safe in the mountain, growing up. Like to me, the outdoors was so home. So that happened in 2018. And I came back to Georgia, and I don't know, I'm gonna say like 6 months later, I was walking at a state park down there in this town called Richmond Hill, and all of a sudden I saw this giant, I don't know, a very like a log, like a trunk of a tree up in the tree, like perpendicular. And I'm like, right. Okay, that doesn't make. That was my first coming back from Arkansas, and something being like an obvious, something weird, in the tree. And I was like, there's no way that they hired a crane to come put that there. There's not been any class 5 crazy wind hurricane. There was hurricane there, or not hurricane, but just tropical storm that shut down some of the trails. So they weren't really doing a whole lot in this area. So it just was weird. It stood out a little bit. Okay, then I started looking around more. It was like my eyes were opened all of a sudden. And I'd be driving down the road, and there'd be like just forest on each side, and I'd look over into the forest, and then you see like the big X or something as you're going past. Yep. And I started noticing that. And then somebody, I was like, okay, I want to learn more about this. I really want to get more into this subject. This is interesting to me. And so somehow I got on like a Facebook group, and I asked someone, what are people's experiences? Like, I had no idea. Like, I really had no idea at all. So again, going back to metaphysics, I was only interested in the very good ones, the very good experiences. I want to know about the good experiences. I don't want to know about people's heads getting ripped off or getting taken away, and they never get seen again. That's not me. I'm like the rainbows and unicorns person, Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not going to say I've never had weird vibes around me, or like, which I can tell you about that in a little bit. But so this girl said, go on Dixie Cryptid. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard of Dixie Cryptid.
Yep. Old Cameron.
Oh my God. He's amazing. Okay. That was my intro, okay, into it. And so I listened to him like on and on. The stories were so amazing. Okay, and so as I started listening, I had a couple flashbacks of a couple of my own experiences. What is that noise? I hear something in the back. Okay.
Sounds like some interference on your end, so it might be one of the animals, maybe one of the dogs is moving around.
No.
No? Maybe it's your energy.
Shut up. Okay. So I had a memory pop up from listening to these people's stories. And the first one that came up was actually, okay, so in 2005 or 2006, I was living in above Sacramento, and I was mountain biking with just me in the sky. We're mountain biking on the single track trail in the mountains up there, and you could go for miles and never come upon anyone else out there. You could just be by yourself and have the trails to yourself a lot of the times. So, and I've been mountain biking, for a long time at that point. And so it was, I was just cruising along, and I come around this corner, and for many years, this was my story that I saw a bear. Okay. This is where it started. I guess I thought it was a bear. And then as I was listening to people's stories and putting it all together, I realized that what I saw was like watching a fur rug fly across the trail. That it was like 4 feet wide or long, or like this way.
4 foot across. Yeah, 4 foot across.
Yes. And like, I don't know, like
8, 9, 10.
No, it was like 3 feet this way. Okay.
Okay.
I saw no arms or legs. There was no sound, and there was no sound after it passed me. Like no crunch, 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 or running through anything, that an animal does. And so another thing that really made me shift what and then there was this scent. It was like this gamey, like horsey, like scent that lingered afterwards. So, and the fur, it was like this really thick, wavy, like reddish brown fur. That's what it was like. It was like, shoo, like a bird, like across. Okay.
Like a big blur of hair, auburn hair going across.
Yeah, but it was like, it was enough where I could see it clearly, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I could, in my mind's eye, like right now, I could see the wave in it. There was so even just today, like months, maybe, I don't know, at some point, like really putting it together that he or she, probably he, only showed like a portion of himself or itself, like to really to understand, like that was a purposeful thing. And I feel it was in a way to not freak me out, like it took me some time to really like put these pieces together of like what I saw. So that was in like 2005 or 2006. And, that was that. My life goes on. And
sorry about that.
That's okay. I knew you'd come back. So that memory came up, and I have been deciphering this. I saw a video of a Jeep following a grizzly bear that was running like 40 miles per hour. And, this thing, it was like it shot across, fast. It was, so that was very interesting to me. And then as more and more I'm listening to these stories, and then I had another memory back from 1996. I was on a fishing trip in the mountains of Idaho on the Lochsaw River. And my boyfriend, he wanted to go get more lures. So I wanted to stay out there, and I was fine with it. So he was going to be gone for about an hour, and it was on the side of the bank of this river, that on this side of the bank, the large rocks, how they place the large small boulders on that whole side. And there was a river there that was a deep part of the river that was moving kind of slow. It was about 40 feet, 50 feet across. And then there was a beach, like pristine sand beach right there. And there was just a boulder at the back of the beach, and then trees up trees for hundreds. We were out there. Everywhere was just, I was like down inside this little canyon thing. And it was very quiet. Like there was like, it was silent. It was silent. And, you know, I decided I better look around, make sure they're, you know, and then we were on this mountain road that was there. No one came by all day. Like there was no other cars on this road all day. And there was a bank on the other side of the road that went up, and then trees just in the middle of the Idaho mountains. And so I looked around, no mountain lions are going to jump on me. Okay. And I looked across, saw the beach, and then I noticed these footsteps in the sand, like going from the water up to the edge of the sand into the trees. And I was thinking bear. Like, what else could it be? Like that's all I had in my thoughts to think about at that time. So I noticed it. It was like my eyes saw it, and then right when my eyes noticed it and was like processing that, up like above the boulder, and like I don't know, if I try to figure out how to describe like I would say like 50 yards, kitty corner up above this boulder up into the trees. You couldn't see land. It was so thick with trees, like these pine trees. All of a sudden I heard like this loud tree crack sound. And that was all the sound you heard. It was like a moment in time where it was just me and this whatever was doing that over there. And then I was like hearing this like shuffling over there, like the whatever. And my eyes were like bulging out like, oh my God, what is that? And I just stared and was like, okay, is a bear going to come down at any moment to like out of the trees? And nothing happened. And it's really weird to me that I just let it go. I just like, whatever. And then I don't have any memory of like anything else. I don't know if, you know, what time he got back, you know, to the car or from, you know, going to get lures. I don't know. So, you know, I was having these memories come up in 2019, in like spring of 2019. And I was like, I want to know this subject. I really want to know this. And I was like, I'm going to use my inner senses, and I want to know through me. I want to know this about you know, the Sasquatch beings on my own for a little while, because you know, I mean, that's how, you know, because I don't want to get too caught up in like what other people do or don't do when they go out there. I felt like I've had, you know, decent, you know, gentle nature experiences. So I started listening. I just started listening to different people's stories, you know, or their experiences, and then I found Steve Isdall's channel and like his telling his stories, you know. And I just would go out. I found a place in Savannah, Georgia area that had. I noticed that the trees were like moved around. I don't know how to explain it. Like it was like, you know, when you're walking and all of a sudden you're like, there's something unique going on here. That's what it was like. And I started noticing the same thing, like a tree pulled down and like these weird sort of like, you know, this going this way and that going
arches,
like
the arches and the bends.
Yep. And then the taking and weaving them through this and that, and then the placing here and there. And I was like, wow, wow. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. I'm tripping out. It was so interesting. And so that happened, and I would just go out, and I just went out into the middle of this like off trail in a spot that almost seemed like I would imagine almost like what you would see at a park with a gazebo, but it was just trees, and there was just dirt on the ground. And I just kind of felt like, I feel like they come out here, you know, I don't know why I thought that. And so I started talking out loud, and I said, thank you for being with me. I just felt like I've probably had them around me a lot in my life. And I cried. I like in a thank you, like, thank you for this, because it's like a mystical thing to me. It's like it's so I don't know, to me this is how I feel. It's just so special and interesting. And so things started happening fast. Like I said to them, I want to know you. I want to learn from you. I want to help. Is there anything I can do to help? I want to, I mean, I want to learn. I want to be your friends. I want to be friends with you. I want to know you, like this kind of stuff. So soon after that, I was about a half hour from this area on my friend's land. He lives in the country on like a lot of land, and then there's other land connected to a river there, and I started noticing the little tree thing, you know, pulled down out there. No, there's a guy.
This is in Georgia, right? This is Georgia.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, well, North Carolina is not really that far from Georgia, so I'd like to, if I can get a chance to get out there and check that land out, I would love to, if in the future, if possible.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you where to go. I'll tell you some spots to check out. Yeah. So this guy that like lived in a camper on my like friends attached to his land, he was talking about having where something was knocking on the door of his camper, and I'm like, really? And at first, you know, my mind was just going to spirits because they were telling me that you know, that there's history on this land. There was a plantation, and there was people that worked on the plantation, and there was somewhere an Indian burial ground area, and like, of course, I'm out and about like exploring and seeing what I can pick up on. And so I went over to talk to him to try to like find out like what this was about. So one night, and it was in the evening, and it was right before dusk, and the insects started totally chirping in the trees, and so I'm asking him questions, trying to get him to tell me like what's going on at his camper. And all of a sudden, and okay, so the dusk starts coming down, and all of a sudden, this sound, to me, I call it a man yell. It was this one loud, long, not really long, but like this man voice out of nowhere, like coming from the next property over that was like a hunting camp that the guys only used seasonally. There was no one over there. Right. And the guy who lived in the camper, he like made this face, you know, like what was that? And I was like, I stayed like super poker face because I was like, So a week before that, I heard an owl sound that made me go, Yeah. Again, I was like
very suspect, like almost like an 800-pound owl. Shouldn't sound like an owl, but it's trying to sound like an owl. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally mimicked owl sound. That's not an owl, but you can tell.
Okay, let me tell you that when I've been listening to all these people's experiences, and all of a sudden you start having similar experiences, like it's really interesting. You feel like you're in the Twilight Zone. It's like, wow, this is trippy. This is so cool. So I heard that this owl sound, and then I heard like another one like over in a different area, and I was like, it was like the same sort of when I was out in that forest where the trees were weird, or like where like something seems different, you know. So the owl sounds, then this man yell sound. And the guy, I felt that was like a huge confirmation when the guy who lives there was like, what was that? So I finally got him to talk to me a little bit more. And he was saying that there was in that area, they would call, you know how like in different areas, they call it something different, like skunk ape or the tree people or whatever. Booger. Yeah. So he said that there was some people were talking about something called Duckman, and I know, I'm like, Duckman, okay, whatever that is, but still, it was like him sharing some, you know, stuff that was interesting. So, you know, that was going on, that happened, and then where I was living in this neighborhood, that was a nice neighborhood, but it had wetlands attached that went for a long ways, and trees that divided these two, you know, subdivisions or whatever. And you could walk out there behind the pond that took you through the trees, and then out there, I saw a few of those pulled down saplings with the logs placed.
Mm-hmm.
I was outside in the little what do you call it, screened porch in the backyard, and I heard the man yell. And I'm like, okay, because you try to like, oh, it was just some guy over there, but it was like, it was just something about it like made me go, okay, is this that, or am I tripping out? Am I just making this up? I don't know. And like I was saying, like I told them I wanted to learn about them, and I would be like just doing normal life things, and all of a sudden I was like, a thought would pop into my head about something that was something to do with the forest, or I'd feel inspired to all of a sudden go out there again. This was going on. And then I went up to upper state. What do you call it? Upstate South Carolina?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Upstate.
Upstate.
Okay. Yeah. So here is the summer of 2019. I'm starting to hear this stuff. I'm noticing more tree things. And so I'm going to say October of 2019 is when I went camping at Paris State Park. And I heard the sun was going down, it was getting to be dusk, and I was hearing two different owl vocals, like a specific species, one certain species coming from way over there, mm-hmm. and then I'd hear another way over there, and then I'd hear a different species. Oh, it was like over there, like all around. And I was in this campsite, and the campsite I was in had a downhill slope with these really tall pine trees right there. And I was listening to that, and then all of a sudden, I swear, they were all like, I heard them all like right by my campsite and up in the trees. And it was like owl sound, like 5 times. And then in the middle of this going on, I heard what sounded like a more of a primate-y like vocaling. And all of a sudden it was like I felt pulled towards it, like I wanted to go get closer, and I started walking towards the edge of the campsite down, and I was like, no, I'm not going over there. I don't know. That was just
you said Paris State Park?
Yeah.
Okay, that's in Greensville, near Greensville, South Carolina. And I've stayed out there with on a men's retreat for some guys from my church. We actually rented the area all the way in the back where they have these huge log cabins and the lodges, and there's like a huge recreational area as well. Yeah. We had like 20 of us rented that area. Well, we stayed out there for a weekend, and I went by myself and went up the mountain to the side by myself, and I saw all kinds of arches, breaks, bends, X's. I seen all kinds. And the problem is, I'm with a bunch of guys from church. So if I say what I saw out there, they're gonna think I'm crazy. They're probably gonna try to put try to do some kind of demon. Some kind of demon exorcism on me and whatnot. So I can't really say much to them because they'll think I'm crazy. But I see all kinds of
wanting to tell someone. I bet. Oh my God!
And I saw so much activity out there, and I couldn't tell anybody. I just kind of kept it to myself. And I'm like, if we're cooking barbecue, and we got guys cooking barbecue on the grill outside, overnight. And I'm like, well, if you're cooking that outside, you better have somebody watch it, because I guarantee if no one's watching all night, it's probably going to disappear by the morning. So, needless to say, it was being watched all night. Thank God.
Really? Oh my God. That is really verifying. That's really cool to hear you say that. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, that place is very squatchy. I've been there. We drove around the whole mountain. We went to the lakes, the fishing spots. And I mean, there's so much activity.
Wow.
And if you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to walk right by it and not think twice of it. But you know what to look for with these
oh my God, thank you so much for
they're bent over. There's another tree holding it down. I mean, if you don't know what to look for, you're just going to think it's nothing, and it's not even going to phase you because you're going to be glued to your phone. So, yeah, I'm validating everything you talked about tonight, and I know what you mean. And the weird thing about the owls is, what I've gotten before was I get an owl here, and then I get something that sounds like a deformed chicken over here on this side, and then I got something that sounds like a coyote and a fox on the other side. It's three different animals going back and forth, and it's validating that they're communicating. So obviously, Daryl over here, 800-pound Daryl is the owl. Bob over here is making the coyote noise, and then Jimmy Jack, the 900-pound alpha is doing all the other sounds. So yeah, it just makes sense because they all have their attributes of different noises they're making because they're communicating, giving each other the signs to go back and forth to say what's what. Say, hey, there's a pretty lady out there. Let's go talk to her. Let's make some owl noises.
It was so amazing. I was like, oh my God. It was like they came over to check me out. It's like, holy shit. Okay, so let me tell you another little part of that too that was so interesting. And you tell me what you think about this. Okay, so I don't remember if it was like right after this that I don't know why you talked about getting on your phone, but like for some reason I felt like checking my messages. I do not know why. But so, you push your little, it starts playing, and right when it's gonna like play the first new message, I heard this guy say renegade. And I was like, what was that? So I go back and I listen to every single one of my saved messages. It's not there. I deleted, not there, not there, not there. Then it would be like, okay, now here comes that new message, and it wasn't there. But when I was listening to my voicemail, this guy's voice came on. It was like, who was he? Was he like a spirit saying renegade? Was he some sort of, is there some sort of connection to it with the Sasquatch? I don't know. I'm just telling you, it happened like right around that same time. I'm like, holy shit, I'm having like multiple paranormal experiences at once. I don't know. Wow. It was tricky.
could have been an EVP as well from some spirit from the other side, from the other realm. Could have been EVP.
Exactly. Could have been just some random like spirit that hangs out in that area, and he was calling me a renegade. I don't know. It sounded like, how like when you're checking your voicemail and it cuts like it's some stupid advertising call, right? Call 1-800 blah 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 blah. It was like that's his tone of voice. Like it was like he was like an advertising guy, like a newsman, like renegade. And then it wasn't there after that. It was trippy. So anyway, so that happened. That was like October, and then I started training in North Georgia, near Clayton, Georgia. Okay, which I learned is also a big area there, and also up into North Carolina. And I was training to be I was training to be a wilderness therapy instructor.
Which part of North Carolina was this?
So, like, we backpacked in. So I don't know exactly where we were when we were there. I was like, these next experiences were, I think, like the first part of it that we were still in like North Georgia mountains. Mm-hmm. But then we I almost said kayaked. I don't know why. We backpacked up through and ended up into North Carolina. And then we ended up actually getting onto the Appalachian Trail at a certain point. So
I'm wondering if that was Asheville, North Carolina, because I think Asheville is that little corridor. Maybe
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But so when we first started the beginnings of our backpack trip, I was hearing it sounded like coyotes or something like going off, and I'm like, that sounds really like coyotes, but not. You know what I'm saying? Like there was something different sounding about their tone. And so then these guys were talking about how they were hearing the owls going off, and I was like, damn it, I missed the owls. So then a couple nights into our trip, we're in we're just out there somewhere, and we all went to bed. We're all like in our sleeping bags on our tarp. And there was a bunch of us, like, I don't know how many of us were out there, like 20 or something. And the night went on, and then all of a sudden here comes like that same experience at Paris Mountain, where it was like the owl sounds all came in and conjugated like not far away from where we were doing that weird, like, primatal sound, like talking to each other or something. And I was like, this is trippy. Am I the only one that's hearing this?
Was it like samurai chatter, like that really fast samurai?
No, it was just that
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. The
Yeah. So I'm like, this is trippy. Like, it was just all of a sudden I'm having more and more of these experiences. Okay. So then I ended up moving to Montana. I was in Montana last year, in Eureka, Montana for 6 months. And I got there in, like, I'm going to say June. And I went camping at, there was only like 4 campsites, and there was like no one there. And it was at a time, no one's out and about, no Canadians. It's a very big Canadian place to come, for them to, what do you call it, to vacation. The locals weren't out there. I was out there by myself. I was just in heaven, enjoying myself, getting the whole world to myself while everyone was hiding inside. So I'm in my Toyota 4Runner, and I had the seats down with my bed in the back. I have my animals with me. And so it's at a lake, this little lake, really pretty. And if I would have kept going on the road, it just was like sort of kind of logging roads, but just fire roads out there. There's nothing else out there. And I heard this one call, like the man, I don't know why I hear the man yell, like other people hear, and I've heard, on audio of different sounding things. This is just what I hear, it's like a long, one loud, like one, oh, like, I don't know, it's a guide, like a tone, a deep tone. So it's like, I heard it over there, right? Like, wherever that is, like on the other side of the lake, that way. And then there was a response farther to the left over there. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then I was like, okay, don't come over here. I do not want you to be peeking at me in the window. I'm like, okay, I'm going to just hide under my car. I didn't want to get freaked out. I'm like, no, I'm fine. They've been so far. If I was going to have something happen to me, I would have been dead a long time ago.
Yep.
Because I've been out in the mountains and the wilderness and camping and hiking all by myself. I can't even tell you how many times. So that happened in like June. So August 4th of last year, I decided to go kind of hang out at this. Okay, you know what? I have to plug in my charger here.
Okay.
So I'm just going to talk while I do this. So I went to go hang out at this river that's in Eureka, Montana. Sorry for a second. I have to do this. Uh-oh. Okay, here it is. And I had my animals with me. I have a dog and a parrot.
Everyone loves your parrot from the little promo picture I did. I've got some compliments on your parrot.
Thank you. I've had her for 25 years.
Wow.
I got her when she was 3 months. So I bring them with me, a lot because they're they like it. They'd rather go out and about than sit around,
Of course.
So I got my little Crazy Creek chair and my book and a beer, and I'm just gonna hang out on the rocks, the little river rocks along the edge of this creek, this little river that had like at an S turn. And there was no one out. It was okay. The phone's gonna fall. I was just me out there and the animals. And the first thing that was really interesting is I couldn't tell if it was like an otter, like a freshwater otter on the other side of the river, just a little bit upstream, or if it was a beaver. I couldn't see its tail, so I couldn't tell. And then I looked down for a second, and then I looked up and it was gone. So it must have like gone up into the grass or something like that. Then I started hearing snorting sounds behind me, and I turn and look, and it was a deer, like super snorting at me. And I stood up and I just said, I talk to animals. I'm like, hi, how are you? Whatever. And then it went away. okay, so I was like, okay, I'm super excited about this. It was such a nice day. I'm going to sit and read and enjoy this. So I sit down on my chair and I start reading, and I all of a sudden hear what sounded like a splash in the water. So I thought that, oh, it was the otter thing, went into the water. So I look over there and I'm looking and looking and looking to see a little head swimming around. There's nothing. And I was like, that's weird. So then I go back to reading, and all of a sudden I hear, like, out in front of me, a kapush, like a splash, like a rock, like
Big
landing
rock.
in the water.
Big one.
And yes. And it stood me up. I stood up like quick. I was like, okay. What was that? What did that?
Mm.
So I'm looking around. There is no one out. There's no humans out there. If somebody even were to try to throw a rock that far, there's no way a human could, from like where the actual trail that I came down to get to where I was. Nothing human could have done that. So I said out loud, can I see you do that? Can I watch? Can I watch you do this? So I mean, I'm like, I don't know what did it. I don't know so I'm looking kind of, and then it was like, I started feeling like I should just go, like I should just go. I don't know what that was. I don't know what did that. I'm just going to go. Not scared, but just like, I don't know. So I start looking down to start picking up my things, and all of a sudden, kaplash, there goes another big, and I look up just in time to like see like that, where you can see like the depression in the water and then the spray. And I was like, oh my God, wow. So it wasn't like a line drive. It was like a lob. It was like such good aim. Like, I don't know where it came from. I don't know if they were on the other side of the bank and just were dropping and I just couldn't see them, or if way up on a ridge and like, like super good aim. I mean, I know when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I grew up throwing rocks at the log that was in the water, like such good aim, right? I don't know. I just know that I was going to go. I'm like, I'm going to go. And I got up, I got all my stuff together, and I'm like, okay, we're just going to go. I don't know what I said, but I'm like, we're going to go. And then I left. So that was pretty interesting. I don't know. I mean, it could have been, I mean, who knows? Was it like a Sasquatch? Was it a spirit? I don't know. So
they were probably lobbing rocks the size of bowling balls to get your attention.
Okay, yeah. I was imagining like, yes, like that size for those second two. The first one though, it was a more of a kaplunk, wasn't as, yeah. So that's been some of my so far my experiences with the tree people.
Pretty
so now, so I can, if anyone has any questions, or I could like all of a sudden like switch directions and talk about my UFO experience, or like, do you like,
I'll give it about 10 seconds till a question comes in. If anyone has a question about the Sasquatch, I had something to add to it. Now, you were what was your last experience with where you were talking about the water experiences at now, and you heard the call. You were hearing like that's almost like the male. It just sounds like probably maybe an alpha male or just one of the elder males calling out to the other ones to alert maybe that you were nearby, just to be cautious that maybe someone was in the area and kind of just to veer clear of you. So I think, like you said, you probably had nothing to worry about, because if they wanted you, they would have had you like that. I mean, they're probably
years ago when I was a little kid.
Yeah, well, they were keeping you at a distance because they're wary of people. They don't trust the hairless people, the hairless beings, and that's just the way that how things are.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I've heard people's stories that they have good experience with them, like gentle experiences, and I like to just think that that's what I will have forever and ever. Because I mean, you can really talk about all sorts of scary and like things, but I don't know. Like I'd rather have my gentle experiences. Like so, like, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could be, getting gifted deer like I've been gifted deer. I shot at a deer last. Well, I killed a deer recently, but when I first season started in September, I shot at a deer. I missed a deer, and the same deer that I missed. I mean, I when I see a deer, I know what I'm looking at. I can tell the description, attributes, the whole body setup and whatnot. So that being said, the deer that I missed, the next day I came back. It was laying next to my gifting tree with its neck snapped backwards.
Oh wow.
So they gifted me a deer, to say the
Wow.
least,
Well,
because
that's
I put
nice.
out straw. Well, I put out straw in the wintertime for bedding. Every
Oh
now and then
wow.
I'll put out make some rotten strawberries or rotten apples that are about to go bad because they're just going to go to garbage anyway. So I just put them out to the little area called the gifting spot, and I put out some seashells that I gather from the beach every year, and I make like a little circle for
Oh,
them. So they probably see that I'm a good person and I try to help them out.
yes.
And that
Well,
being said, they
yes.
probably saw that I was trying to kill a deer, and they saw that I missed it, and they gave it back
Wow.
to me.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was one of the things that I learned from the husband at board camp of mine. He says they can tell your heart. And so, I think that they know that I'm safe, So,
yeah. They know your
uh,
intentions. They know your
yeah,
intentions. They know your heart. They can tell if
yeah,
you're a good person or a bad person before you even get in the woods. They can read
yes,
you because they had that ancient power in them that we don't have because they were able to harness it because they've been
right,
around so long. So we've lost that power because between fluoride in the water, between the media, between everything else,
yep,
with just things that we've been getting our bodies acclaimed to over the years
right.
with foods and waters, and
Technology,
they don't have that. They're all
right,
natural. They have an
yeah,
all natural diet. They have no
yep,
reason to lose any of their natural born powers. So guess
exactly.
what? They can read all that. So if
Mhm.
you want to, I guess there's no question. So if you want to do we got about maybe 30 minutes left. If you want to start with the UFOs, that'd be great.
Okay, sure. So, it was in 87 is when it started. Oh, and I don't know, 87 I think is when it was. And I grew up in Saratoga, California, and so we were in a regular residential neighborhood, and so we pull out of the driveway and just start driving down, past houses. And all of a sudden, I don't know, I look up and I would say, like, if you can imagine like a pine tree in a neighborhood, and then like imagine where a helicopter, like a local helicopter flying by, that height. It was just like there was this an object, I don't know, a hovering craft, okay, just hovering there in the sky, like just like 3 houses away above the house. And I was like, I could not believe my eyes, and I was like, oh my god, what's that? And then he wanted to drive closer, and I'm like, no, don't get closer, because like you imagine, like, the beam coming down or something. I don't know, it was insane. And so he's like, I just want to see like the other side. Like he wanted to kind of like get another angle at it. And it was pretty round. It was literally hovering in midair, and it had lights it was like spinning, or the lights were spinning. It would be like red and then blue and white or something. And we kind of slowly went past, and so we could see it from a different angle, and it kind of moved over from above one of the houses to about 2 houses down on the other side. And we were just watching it for like 20 minutes. Just was just hovering there. And at one point a helicopter went by, and to me that's really strange to me. Like obviously someone was in that helicopter and they saw it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so we're watching it like 20 minutes. I don't know how much time. I don't know. It could have been 10 minutes. It could be 15. I don't know. It all of a sudden, from it hovering in the sky, it shot like it shot across the sky like what you see in the movies, on
Right.
like Star Trek,
Yeah.
like, and I could see it. as it went through across the sky. Like it just, like it really showed you the dimension, like how the depth of this, how big the sky is. I mean, it was going a zillion, like from 0 to a zillion and like miles per hour, and it was gone. I still like it happened yesterday. It was just so weird, like hard to wrap the mind around. Like what did we just see? Was that a government thing? Was it what? I don't know. So in the paper the next day, they talk about this. It said something like, for the second Tuesday in a row, the light above Saratoga returns. And they interviewed some girl that saw it. She was, went out, left her class and watched it. Knew, like Moffett Field knew nothing. The airports knew nothing. And so I started noticing more and more over the years, like I would see a light, like an object farther up in the sky, going in a pattern, like a flight pattern that didn't match the flight patterns in that area. And then over the years, like talking to other people, years later, that was like what, in 87 or 86, 87, I think. I'm going to say like in 2009 or 2010, I had moved back to the area, and I was talking to a patient. I was a dental assistant at that time. And she happened, so weird, she happened to live like across the street and 2 houses down from that boyfriend, like in that present time. I was like, no way, that is crazy.
That is.
So she was saying that her son had seen some UFOs in that area. He said he saw one that was like the size of a football field. Like they're in that area. You can post your experience or what you see, and there's just many in that area. So it made me really even more like watch the night sky, like after that. And I would see, just, it's just hard to wrap the mind around,
Yeah.
In, I would say 2010, I was walking outside with my dad, and I had been telling him some of this stuff, and we were walking my dog, and there's this something like up going across with just no sound in a totally different flight pattern. And I'm like, Dad, look, this is what I'm talking about right here. And it was like my dad just could not participate with me on it. Like he just looked down and kept walking, and I'm like, okay. And then a couple months after that, I was coming out of another neighborhood, and I look up and I see 2 lights, kind of like, a distance from each other, kind of going together. And then I'm like, oh my God, I got to watch to see where they're going. And I got out onto the street, and then they started like separating from each other. And it's like when that's happening, it's like, you don't know what to do with it. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to call? Hey, look, anyone, look,
Yeah.
So that's kind of my big UFO story there. One of the things that I want to talk about is my spirit experiences, which is, if you don't mind, do I have a couple minutes to talk about?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I was in another area of Georgia, Skidway State Park. It's not far from Savannah, and it's another area that has had a lot of things go on it, like meaning like there's been paleontology, there's been some Civil War stuff, not war, but preparing for the Civil War, some prohibition stuff. The native people lived on that land, the ancient native people. There's, old Midland, like the seashells that have been found. So I would walk there at night, or walk there, not at night, but during the day. But the sun went down, and I was getting off of the trail. It was now nighttime. It was like, when the sun goes down, earlier. So it was like 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night. And, I'm now off of the trail, but more in the park area where there's the day use area, and I'm walking past a playground, and I'm gonna go use the outside bathroom, and I'm walking through the forest, and I'm like looking to my right as I'm like walking straight, and I'm just kind of staring off at nothing. And out of the corner of my left eye, I saw like white sort of movement. And it happens a lot where then you look and it's nothing. It's like an
Yeah.
optical illusion, or like a branch or a hair by your eye or whatever. But like I turn and it's a human figure walking like kind of fast, but it was made completely of light, like white, like golden white light. And it was like from here down, there was like no round head. It's just like that. But it was like on a mission. It was like walking. It was like going. It was, sorry.
Uh-oh. Phone. You're good.
So I watched it walk and walk and walk, and then all of a sudden it was like it just disappeared, like it went through a door or something.
Wow.
So about a year and a half later, I was on like a ranger-led walk, and there was a group of us, like a bunch of us, walking out to this part of the trail, and I don't know why, out of nowhere, this couple that was standing next to me, I said, I had a really interesting paranormal experience out here like a year and a half ago. And it turns out that this couple travels around the United States. They have all their paranormal equipment with them. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
no way. So I took them to this spot, and they set up all their stuff, and everything was going off. And we were just literally outside. The obelisk was saying things, the pod, what do you call it? The pod something, that has lights.
REM pod?
What is it?
The REM pod? Is that what it's called? Yeah, the REM pod
was going off. He was getting pictures with like fog in it, and like it was really, really interesting.
And then they use like full spectrum cameras that gets all the spectrum lights of a shot, so you can get things that the normal camera can't get, so you can see more distinct
right,
parts of your photo. Yeah.
So, that was pretty neat to be able to have it verified like that. I'm not really big on the equipment, but it is kind of fun. Like when something can show you through your own senses that, there's, I don't know, there was this spot that it was between these two bushes where it was walking, and then like gone. That I think that there was maybe like a portal there or like something, I don't know, but.
Yeah. Either a portal, or it could have been a portal, or it could have just been like an energy that was a residual energy that every day at the same time, it happens at this time, say 3:00, this happens, and it walks down from 3:00 to 3:02, and it goes from here to here, and then dissipates back into its old form, and then the next day it repeats itself. That's how residual energies would work on a haunting like that. So that's why I say it could be that as well.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I think it was a native spirit. I think it was an ancient native spirit that was just kind of in its own, like, playing out its own thing. I don't know, but like that.
Someone's saying hi.
What?
Someone's saying hi. I see the dogs.
Oh yeah.
The dogs. They're up on you.
Hello. Okay, so I want to finish one more story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, pup. Hi. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the name of the place.
Okay.
It's called Big Sky Preserve in Georgia. Okay. And it's near Savannah. And I was out there. This is where I had a lot of my experiences when I was first coming into this topic of Sasquatch. And I wanted to go out there at night so that I could see if I could hear any owls, if I could hear anything out there. So I brought my animals with me, and I went to a spot where we were doing a little experiment, me and my friend. Found a bucket, and we just put sticks in it, like randomly, to see if they would moved around. Mm. So I decided to go out in that particular area. And so when I would go out to this part of the trail, there was like this, people talk about like a branch just stuck right into the ground. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Duke knows all about that. Branches stuck in the ground, upside down trees wedged into the ground 2 feet. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Yeah,
it was like, and it looked like there was like it was like a marker, like go this way, type thing. So I literally went there. I went that way, into this sort of off trail area, and I just hung out. And there was nothing happening out there. It was just crickets, like just the insects, So I'm like, okay. And I had been out on this trail many times. I knew exactly where I was. All I had to do was walk straight. There would be the trail, and then I could go left, and then there, go right, and then there would be the parking lot, and then I'd be back in like 15 minutes to the parking lot or whatever, to 10 minutes. So I ordered a pizza, like literally while I was out there. And so I'm like, okay. And then it was starting to get dark. I'm like, okay, I want to get onto the trail so I could see. So I start walking towards where the trail is, and all of a sudden, as I was getting closer to where the trail should be, I wasn't recognizing the area. I wasn't recognizing where I was. So I figured I just veered a little to the left or something and into an area that I don't usually come out. You know what I mean? Okay, so there were these pine boughs, and underneath the pine boughs, it was a very thick layers of pine needles. So my dog's with me. She's off leash. She's just walking with me. I have my parrot with me on my shoulder, and I ducked down under the pine boughs, and I should have been able to just duck down over the next pine bough, and then the trail should have been right there. So I come out on the other side, and there's no trail, and I'm like, what the hell? This is not making any sense. Like, where am I? So I'm like, the trail has to be around here somewhere. And I'm also noticing like there's standing water and this really big tree that had a fallen tree that was not there. I'm like, where am I? Like, I have been going outside since I was a baby. Okay. Like, I have been an outdoors person since then. And I have good sense of direction. And I knew I had been on these trails many times, and I was lost. And I literally yelled out, help. I did not know, like there was no one there. I was scared. It was so weird. I called my friend, the one who I showed him of this place. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. This is so weird. I'm here. I'm at Big Sky, but I don't recognize where I am. I am lost. This is so weird. And so, you try using your phone, and it was just blinding me. I couldn't see. So what I did is I could look out through the trees to the highway, and I could see the headlights. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna just tromp through, and I'm gonna just hit the highway. I'm gonna kind of veer to the left, and I'll be closer to the parking lot. And so the trail that I went on to get to this spot, it actually, if I were to have kept going, it would have made like a half circle back around and hit into the highway. Okay. So that means something to the story. So I cut through, and I literally went straight and a little to the left. Okay. I got onto the highway, and I was like a half mile to the right. I was on the other side of where the trail hits into the highway. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I literally was in a completely different part of the forest. Like, in 1 second, I went to somehow me and my animals went to a completely different part of the forest.
You must have hit a portal somehow. Not even. So.
I'm serious. I mean, it is literally the trippiest experience that I have ever had.
Now, question: did you lose time? Did you lose time when this happened, or no?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so, because I don't remember. I don't remember if I looked at the time, but I was able to just go get my pizza. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed to have been just like in a second. Like, and then because I just didn't recognize. Like, the landscape, meaning like there were bigger trees in this spot, and there was standing water, and so I had to walk along the edge, and then I was able to get onto that trail that hit into the, that kind of dead ends at the highway. And then there was another trail that is farther in, that is parallel to the highway, because I didn't want to walk along the highway with my animals. And then I walk back to the car. It doesn't make any sense. Somebody, like, I posted this on my YouTube channel. I have my YouTube channel, Exploring the Paranormal with Tricia Brown, and I tell my stories, like these stories. And this guy's like, "You're lucky you didn't end out in outer space." And I'm like, okay, yeah, that would be scary, and I'm glad that. Okay, tell me this though. How did my animals come with me? This is part that it just, like, what if I would have gone by myself? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I think that their energy is tied to you because you have harnessed this energy of all the practices you've done over the years. It gave you the harness, the energy to bring them with you
You think
because
so?
you are so strong in your power. Yeah, absolutely. That's the
I
only
don't
way
know.
to describe it, because otherwise they probably would have been left behind, and they would have been over here, and you would have been over there, and you're like, "Where's my dogs at? Where's my animals?" So
So I can only think that area that I went down underneath the pine boughs, it was like somewhere in there that this happened. I don't know. Have you ever heard anyone else say anything like this?
not many people live to tell about these, missing 411, all that kind of stuff. So consider yourself lucky.
Wow.
David Paulides, all that stuff. Even you mentioned Steve Istall. He talks about some of that stuff as well.
Yep.
I share a lot of his encounters because he's a badass guy. He's got, he's a hunter.
Yeah.
He don't take shit from nobody. He tells the
I
truth.
know.
He says it
Yeah.
like it is. He shoots from the hip, and he
Yep.
don't care if you don't like him or not. It's just it is
Yeah.
what it is, and
Oh
you
yeah.
like him or you hate him. And I like him because he's a straight shooter, just like
Yes.
everyone else that I'm friends with in the community. They're all straight
Yep.
shooters, and
Yep.
you got to get the truth out there, whether people like it or not. They don't want to hear
Right.
it. That's just
Too
the
bad.
sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I forget what I was going to say about that, but the oh yeah, that whole area though, where that happened was where I would see like changes in the trees, like they would like change it up. I would go another day and then there'd be these other things, or it was like, am I seeing more? Is it like my eyes are now opening more? Do you know how, like, because you said like if you don't know what to look for, you would not
Yeah.
notice. I left a crystal one time on, kind of off trail, and it went away. It went away. So I don't know. Somebody could have saw it and took it. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, how can you tell sometimes? Like, if if it's really them getting it, or if it's just an animal.
It's hard to tell. I mean, I've walked down trails where there's nobody in the woods whatsoever, and I've came back down the same trail and I see a crow's feather. I find crow's feathers in trails a lot where I do my research,
Oh,
and I think that they're gifting me crow feathers because I don't see or hear any
special.
crows. I don't see or hear them when I'm walking, but when I come
Right.
back, there's a feather, a big black crow feather in the middle of the trail. So I'm like, all right, thank you. I'll say a little,
Oh,
blessing and little
yes,
native blessing, and
yes.
maybe sprinkle some tobacco on the ground and
Perfect.
keep on
I
going.
do that
So
too. Yes. I've had a rock appear out of nowhere. I've had plants that are considered like ceremonial plants. Like literally the roots were still attached and it was like washed clean. Little this guy's like, "Oh my God, that was for you." I'm like, it was at a time where I'm still like figuring this out. I'm like, you just have a hard time wrapping your mind around it, but it's really amazing. I feel super honored. I when I go out on land, I say thank you for letting me be here, and then I have just these amazing experiences.
yeah, I mean, kindness is key when it comes to just nature in general. There's more than Bigfoot. You got elementals. You got the little
Yes.
people. You got the fae, the fairy. I mean, you
Yep.
got it all. So being, you know,
Oh yeah, I
it
have
is.
been helped. I feel like I've been helped along the way as I've been on my travels because of me, learning each area's how to be respectful to the land. When I was in Chaco Canyon, I asked, "Is it okay if I touch this?" Like a structure. And the ranger was like blown away that I was asking permission. I'm like, "Well, and she told me that this is not a place to, because it's not a place to leave an offering, and I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you for telling me," because I learned of how to pull, like I'll pull like a hair from the way back of my, like the bottom of my neck area there, my hair, like down, and I'll just leave it by a tree or something, and I'll say thank you. but she's like, don't do that here. And I'm like, thank you for telling me. Oh my God. Because, she didn't have to tell me. I feel honored that, when the native people tell us things, when the descendants feel super honored, they don't not have to share. They do not have to share, And so I was getting ready to leave the Chaco Canyon campsite, and I had like an amazing experience just having to just coincidentally getting to get to this go see this land, this amazing place on a day where it's like literally like the stars lined up, like it was a perfect, the sun and the moon were all doing their thing, and like people come there, and like one of the most times in the year to go do that. And I had like no gas in my car. I had like low gas in my car, and I'm on an Indian reservation, and you have to drive off the Indian reservation, and I'm pulling a trailer. I'm like in the middle of driving from California to Georgia, all my stuff. And I sat there and I was like, what do I do? And I'm like trying to think inside myself, like, do I just go ask, does somebody have like, it says there's no gas station here. I go, do I just go to the visitor center and just ask, does somebody have any gas? And then I just, something like a calm came over me, and it was like I got this message that, you know what, just go left, enjoy your ride, enjoy the trip, and look around you, and appreciate what you see. You're gonna make it. And I'm like, and I had a rental car that had like the display was digital. And the miles to get to the gas station was more than what it said that I was going to make it on the display. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to not look at the display. I'm going to enjoy myself, and somehow I'm going to make it. And I made it to the gas station on like nothing, like no gas in my car. And I really
made it on energy. You made it on energy. Yeah. Pure energy brought you to the gas station. Period.
I feel like I was really helped by these, what I call the helping spirits.
Right.
And and then they stayed with me for days, like helping me across, the United States. They're like, stop, get off your phone, put your phone down, just go old school and enjoy the trip across Texas. And I'm like, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to my stories.
You had some great stories. I mean, you went in different category, different platforms, different, paranormal,
hopefully
metaphysical, and the Bigfoot. No, it was great. I mean, you've had some quite the interesting experiences. I like how you like whenever you go somewhere, it's like they know you're there and they call you, like they're like calling out for you, like, hey.
I appreciate it. It's so. And I'm looking forward to continuing my relationship with them. It has not been a whole lot here where I'm at in Pensacola. I did see one area, off, at some trails, like some bike trails here, that I'm like, that looks like something.
So, you're in Florida right now.
Yeah.
So if you can try to get by the Mayaca State Park, that's really active. And if you want to laugh your butt off, listen to this little story real quick. So I went to Disney with my family in 2018, and I guess the Magic Kingdom, right? So inside the Magic Kingdom, there's a train that goes around the whole park now. I don't know how old it is, but we went on this little train, and half the train ride goes to like a section of the woods, and. Okay. Once you see stuff like that we'd be seeing in this world, you're always looking in the woods. You're always looking to see what you can see in the woods. So as we're driving in the train, going from one side of the park to the other side to I think it was like the what was it, the
Epcot?
No, not Epcot. It was like the part where
MGM.
Not MGM. It's where all the western stuff is in Magic Kingdom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like the Wild West areas, that kind of thing. So we're going to that side of the park, and as I'm looking off the train into the woods, I start seeing like, obviously there's palm trees in Florida, and there's like little bamboo jungles and other little smaller, vegetation and some bigger like just round trees as well. I start seeing things broken over and bent. I start seeing X's.
Yes.
I start seeing stuff that looks like
Oh
it
my
wasn't
God.
done. I start seeing you can tell that weather didn't do this. Obviously, it doesn't snow in Florida. It's not
Weather,
snowfall. It's not
right?
snowfall because Florida doesn't get snow. So I'm just
Right?
saying, I was like, wow, Disney has Bigfoot.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for saying that because yes, they are wherever they want to be. They go wherever they want, and that is hilarious that they're watching humans do like silly things. That's hilarious. Wow.
Yep. And my daughter
Amazing.
almost got kidnapped in I guess it was Magic Kingdom where they had the Toy Story thing because some guy tried to grab her, and luckily he didn't get too far because we snatched him up real quick, and then he took off and ran. And the security guards didn't do nothing about it. They're just like, "Oh, we'll try to look at the cameras and see if we could find him." But if you know the true story about Disney, they don't. They have their own little inside policing community, and they also have underground tunnels where they'll kidnap kids and they'll set them off into
What?
trafficking. Yeah, it's a
Oh
huge
my
thing about
God.
Disney. They don't want to talk about it, and they won't. And I'm not going to get too deep into it because I don't want to get my channel canceled or like
Yeah. Yeah.
or you're going to see me black out in a minute if I keep talking. So I'll
Yeah.
keep that down. But there's a lot of documentaries
Those
about
are
stuff
just
like
a
that.
made up. Those are made
Yeah.
up things, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wow.
we believe in Bigfoot, UFOs, and Dogman and paranormal, so we must be crazy too. I mean, we're talking about things that half the population doesn't even believe in. So who are we? I mean, we're wearing tinfoil hats and crazy folk. So I'd rather be that folk than the normal folk that watches the news and believes everything they
Me
see on TV.
too.
You know?
Yes. I don't watch the news. I can't.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't watch the news. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. I like being in my rainbows and unicorns land. I find out what I need to know from people. I just ask what's going on. I just want the facts. Okay, cool. And then I carry on with my own life. And it works out better that way.
No, that's cool, and I'm glad you reached out to me in the group and wanted to get on do the podcast because I like having people on that either haven't like you've never been interviewed before. This is like kind of like your first time
No,
doing this.
no.
I
No,
mean, you have your own YouTube channel. If you want to plug your channel,
I have been interviewed 2 other times. I've been on Conscious Living with Wendy Garrett, an episode there, and also with David Franklin Farkas, the Farkas Files. And then I've been on an episode of a dumb reality show called Stalked by a Ghost. It was episode 3, season 1. So, yeah. So go ahead. What were you going to say? Sorry. Yes, I have a YouTube channel. Is that what you said?
yeah, I want you to plug it for everybody so they can go and subscribe if they want to watch your stories and listen to your experiences.
Okay, it's Exploring the Paranormal with Tricia Brown, and yeah, I barely even touched the surface.
Well, that's fun. We can always have you on again in the future.
That'd be fun. I mean, I didn't even talk about my spirit animals or my like my some mediumship stuff. That was really fun, and talking to Andrew Borden at the Lizzie Borden House. And stuff
wow.
Yeah, not talking to him, but he came to me. He came and made himself known, and we had a little thing. But that'll be for next time.
Absolutely. Now, is that the house can you stay at that house overnight, or it's just like a museum for touring?
Okay, at the time I was there, you can, but I think that they sold it again or something, and I don't know what's going on right now. But at the time, I actually could have stayed the night that I was there, but I was visiting a friend, and I wanted to spend time with him, and I really think that the vibe changes at night. I feel
Really?
I don't know. I didn't stay the night. I didn't want to. I was having fun, and I liked it being a good experiences. I like good experiences, The show, the Stalked by a Ghost, that was all based on let's all dramatize and totally
it's all scripted. It's all scripted. They make it sound scarier than it actually was, or they make it add stuff.
Right. I mean, he wanted me to say specific, kind of add to the story. It did happen, my experience, but if you would listen, they edited 2 stories together and that sort of thing. But yeah, most of my experience is all just super gentle, like wonderful, like euphoric, and you're vibrating, and like you feel love and protection and kindness, and that's, you know, when I was at the Warrens Occult Museum, that's what it was like. I felt that I was being loved on for days after, like archangel energy, you know, just yeah.
Well, we know the paranormal and all that community in the field, I mean, it is based on frequency and vibration. So if you pick up on the right frequency resonating, you're going to see stuff, you're going to feel stuff, and you're going to just encounter things. So you tuned in when you did your training to get into this. Like, you know, my good friend.
Okay, on my side, you're like frozen. Am I frozen to you right now? Are you holding still? Okay, now I hear typing.
That's
there
me.
You are. Hi.
Yeah, I said too much. I can't say no more because I don't want to get zapped again. This is what happens.
Oh, it wasn't meant to, because I didn't hear it. Wow. Okay, good. Well, let's.
So yeah.
This has been a good one. Thank you. I hope everyone's having a good time. I hope it's been interesting to everybody.
I think they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I had a great time hearing about your discussion, your experiences, and your encounters. Definitely have you on again if you're interested. So yeah. Let me know. Let me know in a couple months once I go through, you know, cycle back through some other guests and come back, and I can have you on again for round 2 and get into stuff that we left off this time.
Cool. That sounds good.
So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for coming on tonight. Everyone that was in the chat, everyone who was in the chat tonight, everybody who, you know, Duke, all the moderators. I'm going to do my little exit out.